The cameras weren't supposed to be rolling yet. The stadium lights were still waking up, stretching across the empty seats like a slow sunrise. But then, someone gasped. A staff member froze, and the lens zoomed in. Because Shohei Ohtani had just walked out of the dugout, alone, and something about him felt different. Not calm, not casual, something sharper, something electric, something almost terrifying. It was still more than an hour before the WBC semifinal against Mexico, but Ohtani walked with a pace that made time itself hesitate. His footsteps echoed against the concrete like a countdown only he could hear. He wasn't smiling, not even a hint. His face was carved with a level of focus that made even seasoned reporters drop their voices to a whisper. This wasn't pre-game Ohtani. This was something else. Something Japan had never seen publicly before. His breathing was slow, controlled, almost too controlled, as if he was holding back a storm. He stretched his arms, rolled his shoulders, but his eyes never left the field. Not once. Not even for a second. A trainer called his name from behind him. Ohtani didn't turn. He didn't respond. He was already in the game. Already hearing the crowd that hadn't arrived yet. Already imagining the pitcher he'd face, the pitch sequence, the escape route from every count. And then, suddenly, he stepped forward, jogging onto the field as if pulled by something magnetic. The stadium speakers weren't even on yet. But it didn't matter. He was moving with the rhythm of a heartbeat that wasn't his own. It was Japan's. A few fans who came early noticed him and couldn't believe it. One of them whispered, "He looks scary today." And they were right. Ohtani planted his cleats in the dirt and stared toward the outfield wall. Not just looking, measuring. Calculating. As if he could see invisible lines where future baseballs would travel. He took a slow swing. Then another. The sound of the bat cutting air was so sharp it almost stung. A coach walked by and tried to crack a joke to lighten the mood, but Ohtani barely reacted. He just nodded, eyes locked forward, jaw tight with something deeper than competition. This was personal. Not revenge. Not anger. But the weight of a nation on one man's shoulders, and his refusal to let it crush him. His warm-up throws were even more intense. Each pitch popped into the glove with a sound that echoed through the stadium like a warning shot. Reporters looked at each other. No way, he's just warming up like that. He's throwing like it's the ninth inning already. When he paused for a moment, sweat already running down his cheek, he closed his eyes. For a few long seconds, he didn't move. Anyone watching could feel it, something shifting inside him. Not nerves. Not fear. Focus so absolute it bordered on something supernatural. Then, without warning, he snapped his eyes open again, and they were different. Brighter. Harder. He wasn't just ready for the game. He was ready for history. Teammates started walking out one by one, but none of them disturbed him. They sensed it. Felt it. Ohtani's energy created a silent circle around him, a field of concentration they didn't dare break. Even Yu Darvish, usually calm and joking, approached him with a seriousness that matched the moment. They exchanged a few words, short, clipped, but powerful. Whatever Darvish told him, Ohtani simply nodded once. A nod that said, "I know. I'm ready." He took a few more swings, each one smoother, faster, sharper. He didn't grunt. He didn't shout. He didn't celebrate a perfect hit in practice. He just worked, polished, eliminated every unnecessary motion like a master swordsman sharpening his blade. The Japanese media later described his gaze as predatory. The American reporters called it haunting. But everyone agreed on one thing. This was the most locked-in version of Shohei Ohtani they had ever seen. As the stands finally began to fill, Ohtani still stood alone near the baseline. He watched Mexico warming up. Not studying, not analyzing, just watching. Eyes narrowed, almost challenge-like. It wasn't disrespect. It was something deeper. A silent promise to himself. Not today. Not this game. Not this moment. He rolled the bat in his hands, feeling its weight, almost treating it like a living thing. A partner in the battle to come. His fingers tightened around the grip with a kind of devotion that felt spiritual. Then he finally exhaled, one long breath. The kind of breath you take before stepping into a fight you cannot lose. A few young fans shouted his name. This time, he looked up. Just for a heartbeat. He raised a hand and smiled, only slightly, but even the tiny smile made the kids scream with joy. Because they didn't know what it meant. But the players did. The coaches did. Japan did. It meant the beast was awake. A stadium worker later said, when he smiled like that, it felt like he already knew he was going to do something impossible today. The national anthem rehearsal echoed faintly through the stadium as the sound crew made adjustments. Ohtani didn't react. He just placed his helmet on his head, slowly, deliberately, like a warrior placing on armor. He walked toward the dugout. Not fast, not slow, just steady. A man stepping into destiny rather than a baseball game. Inside, the atmosphere changed instantly. Teammates straightened up. Conversations quieted. Every pair of eyes followed him. Ohtani didn't speak, not yet. He just paced, breathing deeply, his presence filling the air like static before a lightning strike. And then, he spoke. Quietly, barely above a whisper. "We're not losing today." Those words spread through the team like fire. Players nodded. Some clenched their fists. Others took deeper breaths. But everyone felt it, the certainty in his voice. Not hope, not motivation, certainty. When he stepped back out toward the field, he paused at the edge of the dugout. The crowd was now roaring, Mexico fans chanting, Japanese flags waving. The world had woken up. And Shohei Ohtani finally let the fire in his eyes show. This was the moment before the miracle. The moment before the comeback. The moment before Japan stunned the baseball world. But no one knew that yet. Only one person seemed to feel it coming. Shohei Ohtani. He dug the toe of his cleat into the dirt, feeling the ground beneath him, grounding himself to the battlefield that was about to explode into chaos. The roar of the crowd grew louder. The music hit. The announcer's voice thundered across the stadium. But Ohtani heard none of it. He was already inside the next at-bat, the next pitch, the next chance to change history. And as the game approached, someone caught one last look at him through the dugout fence. His expression said everything. "If I have to drag this team to the final with my bare hands, I will." Moments later, he sprinted onto the field with a force that shocked even his teammates. The stadium erupted. Japan roared. And Mexico suddenly felt the pressure of a man who refused to be denied. That pregame version of Ohtani, the one caught on camera by accident, became legend. A glimpse of the fire that would carry Japan to one of the greatest comebacks in WBC history. And when the dust finally settled, when Japan walked off the field victorious, people looked back at that early footage and realized. The game wasn't won in the ninth inning. It wasn't won by the final rally. It was won the moment Shohei Ohtani stepped onto the field that morning. With eyes that said, "I am not leaving," without victory. And on that day, he didn't.